Hello, everyone, and welcome to all uh, Hearth participants now and in the future. Kate, Kristin, and I are going to be having a conversation today about differentiation in preparation for our group talk in 2 weeks. And so we wanted to introduce differentiation, even as we were preparing before recording this, we were just exploring how many different ways that we in PPN somatics that we use that word. There are different facets to differentiation. And I'll just start speaking about one of them. One of the ways that we use the word differentiation is that we want to be able to know that we're in the present, that we are responding to life as it is today in the present. And when we're having a response to something that somebody says or does, that we are responding to them and not to some historical event. Now, that does happen. It's natural and normal. A lot of us have difficult, non-optimal things that happen in the past that color how we respond in the present. But the more work we do to integrate those experiences, the more work we do to have intentions for health and intentions for updating our nervous system, then it is possible to be differentiated from those early somatic memories and be able to respond to life in the present. And even in my experience, to experience more joy and ease in the present because I'm actually experiencing life today and not the body memories of my history. I'll pass the talking stick on to one of you two from there.
Well, I can pick it up. I differentiation is my first module in my training, and really having people really get a sense of this is me and that's not me, and this is now and that was then. And I call it double bind light because it's a light version of like what people can feel kind of stuck and differentiating from our lineage and understanding who is us and what we have inherited and what's the difference. And I also feel like it's really important for people who have had challenging first births and they come because they're pregnant. And so this is one of the key tools to help people feel here now. And how is this story different than the last birth? How is this baby different? And so really helping people identify that differentiated uh, with sensation. Like, where did you conceive this baby? Where are you going to have this baby? And what month? This every way that this pregnancy and birth is different than the previous. So differentiation is a really important tool for people trained to work with prevention and integration of birth trauma. And I also know that in pre and perinatal somatics, it's just really important to feel yourself here and not feel like your surround or your parent. And so it's rich. It's a very rich and important topic. And yeah, I think I'll stop there and pass the baton back over to you, Kristin.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah, just listening to the two of you, I'm thinking about, how important differentiation is, especially because you're alluding to this a little bit, Kate, Because when we come into this world or into this realm, however you want to look at it, we sort of develop within, not sort of, we develop within another body, another being, and that there are our outer bodies. And so there's something about how do we sort of connect to that which is us, or our essence, which is different than our environment, our surround. And that includes people, it includes things in the environment, and how do we come into relationship with that, with people, with our environment, with things, and what's happening. And I'm thinking about Ray, where he said, he basically would say, when the parents actually, as the child or as the baby is developing in the womb, if the parents can really differentiate what's happening for them from the developing fetus, the little one actually comes into, or maybe out into this world differentiated, like that they have a sense of themselves, and then from there they can be in relationship with the parent or whomever it is that they come in, and that can happen at that early of an age. And so many of us didn't have that when we were younger, and so it becomes such an important part of our process and the work that we do is, how do we realize, and I think you both use the word, that something is different than either me, I'm different than you or our partners or other family members, but I'm also different than what I can feel in the field. And how do I, when we are differentiated, then we can come into relationship with what's happening in a different way. So I think I'll just let that sit there for a moment and open it up to either of you.
You know, when you were talking about the mother being the outer body of the baby growing inside her, what I really thought about was what I say to any parents who come in to session with me is, I welcome the parent or parents. I welcome the baby. And then, you know, I model it first for the parents, and then the parents can do it themselves, as I just let the baby know that their parent or parents are going to be working on things that cause them anxiety, anger, sadness, and that, baby, you're going to feel these things, but your parent is getting support from another adult, and there's nothing you need to do about it. You're going to feel it, but there's nothing you need to do because your parent is getting support. And so yeah, you said so clearly, and most of us have the experience that our parents didn't know how to do that. So I know for myself that in utero, from doing sessions in womb surrounds, as well as growing up, I felt responsible for my parents' feelings and their well-being, even though I wasn't old enough to really know how to do that. And actually, nobody can be responsible for somebody else's well-being. But that really caused me to veer away from my own unfolding, to be so concerned of, how do I regulate my parents so that I can receive some of what I need. The other thing I'm thinking about is, what I often tell clients is learning how to differentiate. When we integrate our material, when we're able to say, that really did happen to me, it really was that bad, and now it's no longer happening. when we are able to integrate those experiences, then the imprint or the memory, it's more like a cloud passing by that covers the sun instead of a rock sitting on top of me. So before I came into this work, I thought those memories were me, and especially ancestral memories that aren't even something I experienced personally. That those ancestral memories come in so early that I think that's me. And so when I learn how to integrate memories, when I learn how to differentiate, then I still feel those memories. They're part of my forming, but I don't believe that they're real. And again, it doesn't feel like something heavy sitting on top of me. That, yeah, it's just, it's there, it's happening. It's that cloud going over the sun. It can feel really uncomfortable. It can feel like it's really real. But I'm able to name and empathize with that history and then orient to my own intentions in the present.
Thanks, Eileen. Just slowing down and really listening to the metaphors of the cloud and the stone. And I just when I listen to the things that you say, what I like to help people feel is their power of choice. Choice. And setting up the conditions for, yes, that happened. And now, what is it that's happening? And so, yeah, I just those words, that that is a memory. You're having a memory, or you're in two time zones. You're in the present and you're in the memory. And when I've worked with adult clients that really need to differentiate from their parent because of, some of the things that you described, it can be really hard. It can bring up that life-death feeling for the baby on the inside. Like that's feels very scary to differentiate from her and my parent. And so I often will give them a gesture, like this is me, that's you. And if there's challenge, I'll say, well, Mom, I love you. And that's you. And somehow that softens, allows there to be a differentiation uh, without that feeling of that's disturbing. But there's some kind of cut away or negative sort of implication of being in relationship with their parent. And even if they did have a real difficult relationship with their parent, it's just sometimes a way that I've found to soften and have them begin the process of differentiating and feeling just themselves and not their parent.
Yeah. Just listening to what both of you are saying and speaking to in terms of, what does it mean to differentiate? And I think what you're also speaking to now is like, what is the process of it? And I really like the fact that you both allude to the fact that we need to sort of acknowledge that something has happened first. And sometimes that's the first step. And it's making me think, we talk so much about how much we need accurate reflection. And that when we're not differentiated, it makes me curious of how much of that is because there's that desire or that need to get some accurate reflection that something has happened. And trying to get someone else to understand that, or even to get some reflection that, yeah, that impacted, and that was as challenging or painful or, hurtful as it was. And, we talk about this when we work with babies, or not just babies. I mean, any of us, that often what people need to express first is what happened. They show the story first. And we even talk about this in the 3-stage process. The story needs to be told first. That needs to be received and acknowledged and reflected in some way, that in fact happened, before we can then realize maybe that's not happening now, or that wasn't us, that was, the doctor or a parent or, a sibling or something in the field that we can differentiate from. But I'm appreciating what I'm connecting to right now, that we often say is like the health of what's showing up, that it's showing up for a reason. And how do we listen to it?
Mhm.
So that it has space to be there. And then the other part that we're talking about is then we can come into relationship with it, but a relationship in a different way, from the present, from our adult perspective, and realize, yeah, that happened, and something else maybe needed to have happened. And today I'm here with the two of you. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, and help tease apart, or I think Ray would say make space, but like allow a little more space between what happened in that experience and where we are right now.
Yeah, it feels like the whole theme in other types of somatic work of coupling, uncoupling, overcoupling, undercoupling. This feels like creating the space for people to feel like they're here now, and how is it to feel here now, and I'm okay now. How do you know you're okay? What tells you you're okay? I mean, there's a lot of feeling into that, excuse me, that space in the now.
How do we not have judgment for that when we can't do it? Like that there is something else that might be needed first.
Mhm. I've had clients that came for one session. And I remember, I'm thinking about a particular one who came to see me once. And when she left, she had this huge relief to just find out. I helped her differentiate something that actually belonged to her parents. And she just walked out with this huge relief that wasn't me. That I am not this, like, however it is that we define ourselves. I'm not this anxious person. I'm not this angry person. I'm not this shut down person. I'm not this, but that something really did happen. And that memory is repeating itself in my system because it wants to be integrated. And that it wasn't me. And many people do more than one session. I think it's a great thing, but there was just it makes me smile. It makes me feel happy that was what that person needed. They needed accurate reflection that that's not you, that there's actually something that did happen that your body is remembering, and just what a relief that was. And I have that experience so often with clients when I reflect something that they didn't understand how something from early life was impacting them. They just have this huge exhale and this huge letting go that happens when they understand what happened, when they understand it wasn't their fault, when they understand that that's not all they are. And there are so many facets to this word differentiation that we're talking about today.
Yeah, I feel very hopeful listening to the both of you. Just it feels bright and upright and just possibility. It's very nice.
I like that word, Kate. I feel like that is what differentiation gives access to, is new possibilities. Yeah.
It's the next step in the sequence. Maybe just will unfold naturally. Someone can see themselves doing it differently.
Yeah, we can orient to the present moment and actually feel what's possible now that might not have been possible back then,
Yeah.
given the circumstances.
Something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a good place to stop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Thank you all.
thank you.
See you
Hope
at the
to see you in a couple
conversation.
weeks.
Yeah.